Good evening, guys. How are we all doing? So I wanted to quickly show you my trade on NASDAQ today. You can already see I'm about to be taken out, most likely at break even at 1%. I was trailing my profits here, but I'll just explain the trade for you guys just now. But for now, I just wanted you guys to see the actual trade running, and as it most likely hits the trailing stop. All right, so what was I looking at when I took this trade? You can see this is the particular setup I had. So again, same thing, which we've been discussing the past couple of days. Price has been strongly bullish for the past couple of days. So already we've got a buying bias. H1, where we're trading above the 13 EMA for a confirmed bias. You can see with this little push near the 13 EMA there. M15. This was 4:30. Let's just go to 16:30, which is the stock market open, but I'll refine this on the 3-minute chart. So M15, you can see we had this nice bounce of the 13 EMA, showing us that price can potentially push. So initially, I did not take this because it was outside my actual trading time for the trading plan which I had today. So you can see this was the 16:30 candle. It actually came up with momentum. So what I simply did is I marked the high of that stock market open at 16:30. I also marked the low of that particular candle. So I just wanted to see how price would act. So we came back into the range. Then we had this particular rejection on the 13 EMA, which was also a valid entry, but I needed more confluence. Today, I needed more confluence because I wasn't sure whether the price would continue or they would actually retrace because we've been pushing up for quite some time. So, okay, let me just confirm if my trade is closed. If we have secured, okay, yeah, the trade is closed. We secured 1% on that particular trade. So what I was looking for in this particular trade, okay, price pushed. We eventually broke out of that range. After breaking out of that range, price sort of pushed. I wasn't too convinced with this push which was happening. I wasn't too convinced with it. So I had to wait a little bit just to get more confluence. So my waiting is just basically based on the H1. So if you notice this particular H1, which is bearish, that was my waiting time. I was simply waiting to see whether price actually wants to retrace back to the 13 or they want to push up. So coming back to the M3, as I was stoking my price, I realized we had a nice W here. And from these lows, I just considered this a liquidity sweep of this particular low on this particular time frame. So this was the W I had. So as soon as price was creating this second leg, I was eyeing an entry just above this high. So basically a buy stop. So price came above, came back below, then we had this close. So here I was in the trade and I was targeting a 1:2 on this particular account. 1:2 is above here, which was the 100 points. Actually, this was 1 to 3. Sorry, this was 1 to 3 on the actual analysis, but on the trade on my account, I was targeting a 1:2. So price pushed, and I was just trailing. As you saw, I was just trailing. This is also way outside my trading time, which is the reason why I was trailing with a tight stop, because I didn't really want to be caught like in a sideways market, maybe end up paying swap. So this is actually part of trade management. So because this trade and setup was outside my actual trading time, I ended up I was trailing as you saw when this video started, and we managed to get like halfway towards the target on the actual analysis before price took us out. But either way, it's still a win because on our account we still managed to catch 1%, which is still good. So I just wanted to speak more into this NASDAQ setup. So US30 had almost the same setup, which I marked out as you can see. But again, US30 was ugly. For me today, it's pretty much ugly. You can see from the 4:30 candle, I've got the low of that candle and I've got the high of that candle. That's when the stock market opens, right? So from this low, yes, you can take a buy here and TP here. That's fine. You can also take a sell here and TP here, which is fine if you understand only if you understand ranging markets or how to trade a ranging price action. So I did not have any execution in US30. The only execution I was looking forward to is here, of which I'm still on the sidelines here because I'm not sure how these guys want to play. We are still within that stock market open range. So I'm not really sure whether these guys will actually push up or they won't, but my current setup right now is looking more like this. I've got an inverted, sorry, I've got a fair value gap here. So what I'm looking forward to is price to actually come above so that I can actually execute a buy. So if we can come in close above that little imbalance which you have, I'll execute a buy based off this particular setup. And the target can still be 1:3, which will be somewhere. Okay, it will actually be different because now my entry will be somewhere here. So this, I'll keep this as my main setup because this usually I use this initial setup to guide me throughout the whole trading session. So if I'm going to take a trade, it's going to look something like this. So if I take a buy here, I'll just see where I can put my stop, and I'll use the TP, which is right here on 44,250 area. I might decide to increase it to 1:3. Let's just see how many points it's going to be. It's going to be about 65 points, and 100 points on this particular setup will be around this price line, which was my initial target if I had taken a trade earlier. So I'm still maintaining the same targets for 100 points, but I can still execute and collapse my trade as at 1:3 because my setup was, my target will still have been met. So this is what I'm looking at currently. And if we can get a close right now, I'll be getting into this actual trade. So let's just get ready to execute. I want to see if I can actually execute this trade during this session. This trade will be executed on this particular account. You can see here I was actually waiting to take that trade. So let's see what this price action wants to do. Stop loss, I'll just move it slightly here. TP, this one was on 44,300, but again, a 1:3 will actually be perfect. So it will be somewhere there. So let's just see what happens. Is price going to give me that close which I want, or are they going to push down? So again, this is now way outside my trading time. This is just after 7:15 GMT plus 2. So I'll just see how I'm going to execute. If we do get it close right now, I'll still try to scalp the trade, and I'll be trailing it with a tight stop. That's how I'm going to execute this trade. Otherwise, I won't be taking in any trade. I'll just be happy with the 1% which I took on NASDAQ on the other account, and I'll call it a day. Then we'll come back tomorrow and see what the market has got in store for us. So because of time and where the time is, I don't think we'll continue streaming. Let me just see what's going on. Okay, I don't think I'll continue streaming this session, but I'll do a recap of this trade most likely on tomorrow's session in the morning when we are looking at GM30. I'll just do a quick recap of how price played out here. I'll also just leave these two so that we can do a recap of how the price moved. So yeah, just pardon my jittery. I'm actually on the edge right now because I'm multitasking with some other stuff. So yeah, this is my setup. We'll see what happens. If we can come get it close above here, I'm in on this trade. There's also nothing wrong with taking a trade here. The stop loss here, almost within the same setup as well. Something like this. Because remember, what you're looking for is confluence. Where is your price going for that particular session? Once you figure out where price is going, then you can take a trade. So for me, right now, New York session, there's no direction here. There's no direction. That's why I'm really quite interested in keeping up with this setup. Unless, of course, we close above this minor little fair value gap. If we do close above, it will become an inverted fair value gap, and I'll still be able to scalp the buy. But with the way price is moving the whole of New York, you can see there's no direction. We cannot say we are in a downtrend. We cannot say we're in an uptrend. Price is simply going sideways, and we are still trading within this range from the stock market open, which makes the current setup, which I have right now, a low probability trade. We might actually maybe get a good buy if we do come above here. Then we could get another setup. But because of timing and the way my system works, I won't be able to take that trade. So I think that's it for US30. You guys can just let me know if you traded US30 today. Let me know how it went. If you traded something else, let me know how it went as well. NASDAQ, I'm already out of this trade, but I'll also just leave this in place so that we can see how this trade eventually played out when we do a trade recap tomorrow morning. So that's it for me today. Let's see, I've got nothing else to add here. I would have loved to wait just to see how this price played out, but again, because of time, I'm way outside my normal trading time, which my system works on. So I won't really be forcing anything on US30. So whatever we're trying to do on this particular account, I think we're just going to cancel it, and we're going to see these trades tomorrow. So thank you so much, guys, for joining. If you watched until the end, thank you so much for joining. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Good trading.